And right now in China, there's the Great Firewall, which is what enforces all of this technological suppression. And Tim Cook is not the architect of it, but he is a brick mason in it.
That's media strategist Rob Lockwood last night on the show. He was talking about Apple's role in censoring the protests in China. We talked a little bit about that. Tonight, here at home, Elon Musk is waging a war with Apple CEO Tim Cook, although there may be a little bit of a detente. Late this afternoon, Musk met with Cook and claims Cook has no plans to remove Twitter from the App Store. CNBC writes, Elon Musk may be luring Apple into a fight with Republicans. Sources say at least 3 top Republicans will meet with Cook later this week. Maybe it's a coincidence, maybe not. There's obviously a huge issue as it relates to Apple and China. Vince Colanese is here, editorial director for The Daily Caller, radio host heard in Washington, D.C. by all the important people. Vince, it's good to see you, as always. Are Republicans making a little bit of a deal with the devil here on Elon Musk?
It's hard to see how. I mean, the common cause that they share is free and robust public debate. And in that sense, it's probably good that they've linked up to the extent that that's the case at all. I mean, look, Elon Musk is, as far as we can tell, probably a lifelong Democrat Party voter for as long as he's been in the United States. He is now, he indicated in the last election cycle that he was supporting Republicans for the first time. He thought the left has gone much too far. And he has been very concerned about the constraints on speech that the left in the United States has been supporting. And he'd like to reverse that trend, especially in a place as important as Twitter. Whether or not you or I use it, or whether or not any individual decides to use Twitter, maybe use another social media platform, the reality is that platform has immense influence over how society is governed. Influential people, powerful people consume it, and everyday Americans consume it. They get their news from there. And for that reason, it's really important that it be a robust, open public square. That's what Elon Musk wants, and that's what some of these Republican members of Congress, hopefully a lot of them, want as well. I'd like to see all members of Congress want that.
Yeah, at some level, when you start talking about seriously restricting speech, I think everybody can probably agree, or at least should agree, that at times Twitter went too far. It's interesting, though, that there's these weird factions of splits among the current parties. Even Senator Lindsey Graham now says that sort of a free-for-all in social media is no longer an option. Take a listen.
We need some regulatory environment to control the abuses of power here, so I'm going to do that with Elizabeth Warren. You look for something that can bring us together in Washington. Social media is out of control.
Can government ever be the answer to this, though?
Well, look, what we have right now, Leland, is concentrations of power that are all over the place that have been corrupted and are abusing that power at the expense of the American people. So whether it is corporations who've aligned themselves with the ESG agenda, the environment social governance agenda, which is basically the left-wing politics using other people's money, whether it's the big tech companies who have done the government's bidding in actually censoring content on the internet throughout COVID, for instance. These are basically huge concentrations of power that are being abused. The people have a right to ultimately live in a country that has robust information, access to that information, and a healthy debate. And if you don't have those things, you turn to the options you have. And in this case, the government may be the answer. There's never going to be a perfect solution.
We did this last night, which is this concept that you're now having CEOs who are unaccountable to anybody but the board.
Right.
You know, Tim Cook, Elon Musk isn't accountable to anybody because he owns Twitter, maybe to his investors in some way, and the banks that own the debt. But you've got these CEOs, Zuckerberg at Facebook, who set foreign policy, who set domestic policy. This never happened with the robber barons, right? They may have been worth more at times than the U.S. Treasury was, but they at least were accountable internally. That's no longer the case. But as soon as you start adding in, hey, we like this social media company because they allow free speech, but on the other hand, we don't like Facebook because they don't allow the kind of speech that we like. But at this next set, we like Apple for privacy, but we want Apple to do something different in China. Mm-hmm. Government's not set up to do that. Of all people, I would think you'd say that government's not the answer.
Here's so Thomas Sowell, famous Thomas Sowell, has said that there are no policy solutions, there are only trade-offs, right? So every time you take a step, you have to consider what's the upside and what's the downside and hope you make the right decision.
Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.